Ugandans, thank you so much for joining us today for Red Friday. We would like to thank Ekyoto and JB Muwonge among the many other pages that are hosting us today. Thank you for hosting us. And if you'd like to host Red Friday, you can reach out to JB Muwonge and he can facilitate that. As you notice, every single person on this panel has a touch of red. And the reason that is because today is Red Friday. Every Friday we wear red as a way to show the dictator that the numbers are on our side. The people that are fighting for freedom will win against dictatorship. And it's also another opportunity we have to show opposition leaders in Uganda, the parties and opposition as a whole, that it is very important that they back Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu and let him carry the flag on behalf of the whole country, because again, the numbers are on our side. And so to get started, I'd like to have the panel go right ahead and introduce themselves. Farouk, let's start with you.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be part of this group that is going to discuss today. I'm by the names of Chireme Haruna Farouk, People Power activist and a secretary on People Power Dubai Committee. Thank you so much. From you.
Babi, can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Nanyonga Barbara, Washington, D.C., coordinator People Power and a Ugandan activist.
Salongo Musaja from Boston.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Moderator. My name is Salongo Musaja Tamwamba, based in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm a People Power activist down here in USA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Salongo. And then we have Donnie Charles.
Yeah, this is Donnie Charles, Sweden. I'm a People Power activist, at the same time a coordinator in the region of West Sweden. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Donnie Charles. And then lastly but not least, we have Moj that is joining us from Uganda, and he's also part of the Ekyoto team.
Yeah, good evening, everyone in Uganda. Good afternoon and good morning. This is Mosh. Some of you call me Teacher Mosh, part of the CHOT team as usual. I would call myself a teacher, an activist, and maybe a trainer at times. And all I'm here for is to see a better Uganda, and I pray that you enjoy the show. Good evening to all of you panelists. I hope we have a very good time as we dissect the different issues that we are going to handle this evening. Thank you, panelists.
Thank you very much, comrades, for all your introductions. And as we know, there's no movement that can sustain without funds. And so for those that are watching, for those that support the People Power movement, we are kindly asking you in your free time to go to www.peoplepower.org.ug to donate towards the People Power movement. When you donate towards the People Power movement, you're not donating to Bobby Wine, you are donating to the nation. You are donating to the nation so that we can free ourselves from dictator Museveni. So we thank you ahead of time for those contributions, and for those that have already donated, please continue to donate to the movement. And so to get started, I'd like to raise awareness to Jimmy Spears Sentongo. Who's Jimmy Spears Sentongo? He is an activist based in Uganda. He is a writer, he is a lecturer, and at this particular moment, he is running a campaign to raise awareness towards the police brutality that is taking place in Uganda. His campaign is Stop Police Brutality in Uganda. And so, in your free time, please head to his page, Spear Cartoons on Facebook, which is SPIRE on Facebook, and support this campaign. He basically draws cartoons that depict the police brutality that is taking place right now. We saw our comrade Dan be shot on the streets of Uganda coming from a funeral. Rita Nabukenya was purposely knocked down by a police vehicle as she was heading to Bobby Wine's hearing. And then, of course, recently we saw a young man, Emmanuel, that was beaten. He was later transferred to Mulago Hospital, where he narrated his ordeal to his family and told his family that, yes, it was the police that had beat him, and he later died from those injuries. And so it's very, very important to continue to raise awareness to this issue that is taking place today. And so to get started, I would like to ask Comrade Donnie Charles, what message do you have for any police or military official that is listening in with us today?
Yeah, thank you so much, our moderator tonight, Madam Patricia. Actually, it really disturbs me when I see our fellow comrades, especially the police, that first and foremost, their standard of living is very, very low. They are paid peanuts, and you see them protecting people who are really even actually spending a lot of money, who are very, very super rich on the taxpayers' money. They actually, as a person, I expect the police to be really civil and also to work for the people, because especially they are actually torturing mostly the people who are the activists, who are fighting for them. Remember, the same problems or the same challenges the police face, it's the same challenges as we, as the human, as the common people in Uganda, those ones on the grassroots, they are facing. I expect the police to also to first think and really understand what they are doing, if they are right or wrong, because first and foremost, remember, their standard of living is very, very low, and that's what we as activists are fighting for. Their salary, they get very, very little. They also want to have children in better schools. They also want to have their mothers or daughters, their relatives also to go in good hospitals. But remember, their standard of living is very low. They are paid peanuts, but they are protecting people who are really super rich, who are really stealing their money. They even don't know they are right. Actually, I would advise our fellow comrades, the police or the security organs in Uganda, instead of fighting the people, the activists who are fighting for their rights, they should instead alliance with them. They should also try to copy these other developed countries. They don't work for one person, for an individual. Remember, we have over 40 million Ugandans, and these people, the family of Museveni, they are the few. But you could see the security brutalizing the activists, especially those on the opposition who are fighting for their rights. It is very, very absurd. So I call upon the police or the security organs in Uganda to understand that it is only and only them. It is only and only them that are keeping Museveni in power, of which the Museveni clique, they are very, very, very few. They are not even over 100 people that they are protecting. You understand?
That's correct.
Yeah, so for that matter, therefore, I call upon the security organs to really understand first their rights, because I believe that they don't understand their rights. Second, to know that we who are fighting for them, we are their brothers. Actually, we are the voice for the voiceless, including them, because Museveni is putting them under Museveni's armpits. They cannot talk. Actually, they should be supporting us. Like the way our Honorable Chaban sang the song, like afande sirwana nawe na ye nwanirira gwe nituwanirira mmwe dembe ya mmwe wewe no wa police naye ayagala bambi omwana wagende ko musomere ddungi owa police ayagala omwana we mukyala we abagenda okuzaala agende mu ddwaliro nga waliwo facilities eziri mu ddwaliro. You understand? But they are protecting people who, even when they come sick, they go abroad.
Thank you very much, Donnie Charles from Sweden. Thank you very much for your input. And so we are going to move on to our Comrade Farouk from the UAE. You know very well that People Power will be taking power in 2021. So at this particular moment, what are the first 5 priorities of People Power once People Power takes power?
First of all, I would like to thank you, our moderator tonight. Mrs. Patricia. But still, I ask myself a question. Why are African leaders don't learn from the history? And in Uganda in particular, all we know that all the governments that have come in power, they had the reasons that put them into power. For example, if you look at Idi Amin Dada, he had 18 points. If you go ahead and see President Yoweri Museveni, he had 10 program points. So, but we are seeing that things that they promised people are the same things they are committing every day, and more are coming on. So here comes in people power under the umbrella with the leadership of Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Some Ugandans are asking themselves that what are people power going to do for us? So here are the 5 first points that people power we as people power are ready to render to Ugandans, and we assure you that we shall do it. 1, rule of law and human rights. If you look at rule of law, the way laws are being governed, made in Uganda, the way laws are being broken in Uganda. Take an example of the Constitution, the amendment of the Constitution. Mr. Museveni is using the Constitution as if he's using his own book, whereby he deletes what he wants and fixes what he wants. Take an example of what happened, the change of the age limit, when he saw that he had clocked already 75. Take a look at the term limits, and they saw recently which they want to bring in, changing the years. So that's when we look at that, we see that there's no rule of law at all. Take the human rights abuse, the way the journalists are being beaten in Ugandans, the way they are being beaten, the way Ugandans are frustrated, they are being arrested, even charged, even without even court trials. Point number 2, health. Why should we at this century, 21st century, lose our mothers while they are giving birth? So people power is coming to power to fix all the hospitals that were broken. I think that the COVID-19 came into Uganda. It's so ashaming that at the moment, even the government cannot be able to sustain to buy even the PPE for the doctors, those people on the front line. So when people power comes into power, just be assured that health sector will be fantastic. Let's go. Point number 3. Look at the education sector. Education sector of Uganda is totally sick. We cannot, very many parents are struggling to pay the fees of their children. Why? It was done deliberately by these people, whereby they created for us UPEs, the one which we think they are very cheap, but they are giving substandard education. So I assure you Ugandans that we as people power, when we come into power, just be assured that the Ugandan education sector will boost. Ugandan students will get skills. We shall invest so much in tertiary education so that someone can, even if he reaches A level, can have something to do. Skilled work. Point number 4. We as people power are coming to the government to end the land grabbing issue. It's very rampant. That one, if I start speaking about it, we may spend the whole night talking about it. Just an example, Lusanja people. It's a clear evidence that these people are using their force because they're in power and they have the authority to take away the poor people's land, even without compensation. If you go to agriculture, we are willing, because now Uganda is being an agricultural country, but Ugandans are not benefiting from what they are growing. They are buying there. For example, if you look at the maize, recently the farmers grew maize, but a kilo of maize was costing like 500 shillings. Honestly, yet you invested a lot. The natural resources management, we people power, we are planning to work on it. We always hear Mr. Museveni saying that my oil. Who told you that it's your oil? This is the country's property. It's not yours as a person. Who told you that you come with this fuel? You will leave it. So my last point, though we have a lot of points to talk about as we people power, but at least these are the majorly based on points. The issue of national reconciliation. We all know, just trust me, Madam Patricia, that in Uganda, Mr. Museveni has kept Ugandans divided to the extreme. Look at the tribalism. Look at the political issues. Someone who is in Uganda cannot cooperate with the Munyankole. Someone who is from Busoga cannot cooperate with someone from Buganda. So we are seeing ourselves as enemies. We are disunited completely. If you go to the sector of political side, if you are a people power supporter, they see you as an enemy of the country. FDC doesn't want to associate with you. NIM doesn't want to associate with you. Why? It's not working for us. It's working for the dictator, for the junta. Go to the side of religion sector. Muslims are seen as terrorists. They are being harassed. They are being frustrated now and then, and every day and then. So why? So I assure you, Ugandans, when people power takes over the authority, we are going to do the best for you guys under the umbrella of Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. So just allow me to conclude by saying that one person said that once we lose our fear over them, they lose control over us. So I want to assure Ugandans, just take away the fear you have. These people, they fear us more. And allow me to quote it in Uganda also. Our principal said, Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, that so just be assured that Ugandans, we shall make it. We shall make it. Come 2021, Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu will be our next president. Thank you so much, Madam Moderator.
Thank you very much, Farouk from the UAE. That was very well put. And yes, we have a lot of things to fix in Uganda, but with every problem, there is a solution. And this particular point, we all know that people power, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu will definitely be a solution to a lot of these things that are taking place in Uganda that need fixing. So we're going to move over to Washington, D.C. Bobby, thank you for joining us today. So Bobby, 2021 elections are right around the corner. How is people power currently managing relations with other parties?
Thank you, Patricia. I'm glad to discuss that, basing on the principle of unity. People power has engaged in different activities with other opposition political parties. For example, the Hoima by-election, people power was there. Also, the recently non-EDA campaign, people power organized it jointly with other political parties, especially the FDC and the People's Government. Also, it's working hand in hand with other political parties in a way like our principal, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, has been engaging in meetings with political heads of other opposition parties. We've seen him with Dr. Kizza Besigye, we've seen him with Mugisha Muntu, we've seen him with Honorable Basalirwa, and so on, also with Mao, Norbert Mao. So that is a mere fact that we're trying to bridge the opposition, bringing it together to win this come 2021 election. We've also attending activities organized by other opposition political parties. People power has been seen. For example, when the DP they organized their DP reunions, people power was there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's a symbol of unity, like we are championing the principle of unity, calling upon all Ugandans to come together, irrespective of your political background, economic background, social background. We want to come together to uproot dictatorship, to end dictatorship. We've also, as a sign of respect, integrity, recognition, and appreciating the former party presidents or the former political the former political opposition key figures. We've seen our principal, Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, reaching out or going to Dr. Kawanga Ssemwogerere. He has also visited Al-Hajj Nasantege Sebagala. He has visited Al-Hajj Chibirige Mayanja. He has also visited Hajj Hussein Chanjo. It's like we are engineering unity. We are calling on all opposition political parties to come together. We are reaching out to know how are we going to dislodge dictatorship in Uganda. And also through the music, it would be idiotic to think that you can separate Bobby Wine from Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. It's idiotic to think that. He has continuously addressed the issue of unity through his music, calling upon Ugandans from different walks of life to come together and end dictatorship. The have-nots, the marginalized, the oppressed Ugandans, we should come together to end dictatorship in Uganda. For example, he sang a song, "If we only come together, we can change our destiny." True, that's unity. Also, United Forces of Change is the only way we're gonna get a liberation in Uganda. That's calling for unity. He also said a verse, "Obumyunga bwakunganye, empologoma bugitwala terinya." He is calling for unity wherever he goes. He has also gone ahead saying, "Let everyone come." People Power is not a political party. People Power is an ideology, a revolutionary movement that has brought Ugandans together to fight a common cause. And that's taking back our country at all costs, rain or shine. And that's why he's engaging all Ugandans. If I can borrow an example from Patricia from Malawi, they came together. All stakeholders played their role, and they got democracy now. They have freedom. If we stop bickering each other, if we stop fighting each other and come together, and People Power has done this, and I send this message to other radicals in the political parties. We, the Ugandans, the voters, are ready for change, and we've come together in People Power. It has united us. So it's high time they get to know that the political demographics in Uganda determine or dictate who becomes the opposition flag bearer. And now the anointed one is Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Uganda gave birth to a new leader, a new revolutionary leader who has united Ugandans all together, irrespective of tribe, religion, economic status, political background, religion, name it.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you very much.
That's the way that's how People Power is playing a role in uniting or working together, having that good working relationship with other political parties, opposition political parties. You've seen coordinators, our People Power coordinators are from different opposition, not even opposition political parties. Some are from the NRM. They are our coordinators. Even when you look at the election committee, it consists of other members from opposition political parties. So that's how we are keeping a good relationship with other political parties. How I wish all the oppressed, the tired Ugandans could come together and we uproot this bloody regime. People Power.
Our power.
And can make it. 2021, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu is our president. Thank you, Madam Patricia.
Thank you very much, Comrade Babi from Washington, D.C. I want to move over to Mosh from Uganda. Comrade Mosh, we've had Norbert Mao refer to people power as a pressure group. Is people power a pressure group?
Ignorance is bliss. You can choose to be ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
Get eyes, he can say exactly what we are. The problem is he's commenting as an outsider because he's one of those people who are benefiting from the status quo. Don't expect him to see things from the same perspective as we are. Because I, for one, being part of People Power, I took an effort to know and learn what we are all about. And People Power is a political movement that is going to usher in a revolution in Uganda to make things that have gone wrong right. So it is basically jealousy, it is basically ignorance that is making Mao make such unserious, frivolous statements about us. Because, you know, initially he thought he was going to own this. And when they got to know that we are so serious and very determined to do this without career politicians like him, the next thing he started to do was slandering us, calling us names, and insulting us. Basically, doing his job of making us lose focus, making us become weak, and also maybe change our guns from the dictator to him. And trust me, I'm not saying this like I'm a prophet of doom. The likes of Mao are never gonna let us get our victory easily. We got to push them out. I know the president is making an effort to build bridges and bring them on board, but there are those likes that are just so much stuck like in that political bubble whereby they think everything is about politics and politics and politics. For us, we are here to reclaim our country, and he's one of those people who are going to lose when we win. Therefore, he makes those statements just to make us lose focus and to make those people who wanted to join us also feel like not joining us. So those are just frivolous statements. We shouldn't take them seriously.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mosh from Uganda. So we are now going to move over to Boston. Musajja Tamwava, thank you again for joining us. So Comrade Musajja, 2 weeks ago, out of frustration, a young 29-year-old Hussein Walugembe lit himself on fire and ended up dead. What is the way forward? Can we stop this from happening again?
Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. The way forward first of all, we have to know that our people have started completely losing hope. And this goes to the people in the informal sector. They have been not catered for. Because take for instance, in Uganda, you have to survive on your own. The government has got no programs like which are coming up to help youth, to help the seniors, to help like you have to, like the Baganda say, car. You come from grassroots until when you rise up. So that issue, I looked into very many ways. Like the boy who burned himself, I understand he was around 19 years old. When I was that age, I was aiming a lot of big things. But if you see a young boy of 19 years losing hope, so it is a call to us, like, let us all Ugandans wake up. Let us bring back the hope. But how are we bring back the hope? By putting people power on the front. Because we are young people. Some of us, we have our parents. We have young families. But we are standing right now because we want to see the changes we see in other countries. We want to see them in our country, Uganda. So we are calling upon the hope back from us to you people. It is like people of Masaka. There was a disappointment of the people of Masaka because we have seen a kid of that age who burned himself in Tunisia, ended up into a revolutionary, which came up and changed the government. So in Masaka City, people did not, I think, take it serious. And it is another shame because right now the videos which are coming out, the police, the young man was burning himself when they are busy taking Facebook Live, when they are busy taking videos. So what does it mean? It shows you that the people who are keeping us, they don't have love for their job. Because if somebody has a passion for a job as a policeman or as a policewoman, we will not allow that boy to die. He would have sacrificed his life to secure, to safeguard this boy's life. But it didn't happen. So where are we heading? We don't have hope. Yeah, Ugandans have lost totally hope. And the people who are, we entrusted our power, they are working for one man who is Museveni. So they don't care about you, they care about one person. So it is a wake-up call that people take what we say serious. It is really, really very bad. We need you to join us in order to overtake the dictator. It is not easy to take a dictator. It needs everyone to join in. Informal sector, people who are doing border taxes in the markets, they are suffering. This lockdown has shown us what are we supposed to do. Don't leave it to me. Don't leave it to Chagulanyi. It is yours because today it is Hussein from Masaka who is dying. Tomorrow might be your cousin, might be your in-law, might be anyone of you who is closer to your family. Today you are not taking it serious because it has not entered your family, but you are sleeping hungry, you don't take it serious. So when it comes to your blood, because they say blood is thicker than water, that's when you wake up, but it will be too late. So it is better before 2021, Ugandans come up and join us. We have sacrificed our life. You are ready to take on Museveni.
Thank you very much, comrade. And I'd also like to follow up with and say the police are in possession of so many borders and motorcycles, which they obtained due to corruption and bribery in Uganda. So with this death of Hussein Walugembe, should they be returned to their rightful owners? Donny Charles, Sweden, what do you think about that?
Come again, I lost you somewhere, please.
So the police are in possession of so many borders that they basically detained illegally, from the people of Uganda due to corruption and bribery, right? So with this death, should we call for these borders and motorcycles to be returned to their rightful owners? Just in 1 minute, please.
Yeah, actually, I just call upon the police to know very well that these borders, they are confiscating from our brothers. They are also trying to earn a living. That's where they survive from. We also just to call upon the police and the other security organs, because now Museveni is not only using the police, he's also using the military. He's also at certain times deploying the prison police, let me say. So I call upon them to also understand, also become humans. Like these people are also trying to earn a living, and these people they are trying to protect. They are just protecting one family that have benefited a lot from our tax that we are paying. Let them just come to sanity. Let them understand that these people, they are confiscating their borders. They are brothers, their own brothers. Like they are also their own in-laws. They're also trying to survive. You understand? They should also know that some of these actually, I saw some police man talking yesterday. What is his name? This Enanga. They confiscated, this guy they killed in Makere, they confiscated the camera because they hid it from the journalists. Then I've watched the news today, they came up with an edited video and they put some other faces that you cannot even recognize. They are trying to hide the truth from the public that it was really the police and the LODU that brutalized and killed this innocent boy.
Thank you very much, Donny Charles from Sweden. Comrade Mosh, what is your opinion on this topic? Should these borders that are in possession of the police be returned back to the Ugandan?
Maybe to give you a few highlights about what transpired after that gentleman, that young boy. Actually, he was 18. His 19th birthday was just around the corner. After he committed suicide, the police were so scared because it was negative publicity. Everyone was scared that this was involved. The border guys tried to lynch the commanding officer, the person who is manning those roadblocks where they confiscate the bikes. Actually, the next day, everyone who had a confiscated bike in Masaka went and reclaimed their motorbikes back. But we knew that was just basically because they are scared. And a few days ago, I was in Masaka. I sat on a border and we bypassed the police station. So these guys, truthfully, are scared of us. The only problem is one, which scares me, is if we had galvanized on what had happened in Masaka and replicate it to Jinja. I'm not meaning the banning whatsoever happened, but demanding for the borders, the cars. Right now, every Ugandan with a confiscated vehicle would be having it in his possession. But the problem is one, maybe some Ugandans are not ready and they don't know what they're supposed to do to regain their freedom and to regain their possessions. The police was willing because it was trying to do some little damage control. So they were like on a weak point. But as time is moving by, people are getting past that incident, which was really horrifying. And before you know it, police will be back to its brutality. So Ugandans better wake up and galvanize or capitalize on anything, on any spark that can give them freedom.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mosh, for enlightening us on this particular topic. Gabby, Washington, D.C., do you have any submission on this topic? In 1 minute, please. What would be the solution moving forward?
So I call upon Ugandans to stop normalizing and nurturing injustice done on us. It's because we've normalized it. People are being tortured, people are being murdered, people are being like flogged, and others are looking on like spectators. It's wrong. Let's stop normalizing and nurturing injustice. Let's be our brothers and sisters keepers against these bloody guns. Because it's with that we are going to have that spirit of fighting back. Let's fight back. It's now an eye for an eye. Why would you even keep on watching when they are stripping a man, a family man? He has kids, he has in-laws, he has a wife in a crowd, broad daylight, and you strip him naked. It's so wrong. It's so inhumane. We should stop normalizing and nurturing these injustices as Ugandans. It's our right to demonstrate, it's our right to protest, but it's also self-defense to protect ourselves from the brutality of these goons.
Barbara, thank you very much for your submission. And under the Constitution of Uganda, it is very important to note that, yes, it is your right as a Ugandan to protect your country at all costs from any type of injustice, no matter where it comes from, even if it comes from the president himself, who is the dictator, and of course the UPDF and military police that continue to kill and antagonize innocent Ugandans.
Patricia?
Yes, ma'am?
We should learn to rise up. We should rise up and tell them, no, we are humans. The Constitution gives us our human rights and some are God-given. You are not going to take away what we have. Like for the scientific election, it's unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional. Why would we let them Why would we let them undermine our constitution? It's our constitutional right to have a free and fair election in Uganda. We should not let these looters, these robbers, to take away what we have. We shouldn't. It's not them to give us the right. No, it's not a privilege to be Ugandan. It's not a privilege. It's our constitutional right to have a free and fair election. And we should send a clear message. It's either we have elections the rightful way, or we are going to rise up and defend the constitution. This time, it's not like we did in 2017 when we changed Article 1 to B. We were like, no, Tojikwatako, Ugandans, my people, it's time to rise up against all the injustices done on us. Enough is enough.
Thank you very much, Barbara. What Barbara from Washington DC is saying is that it's either now or now. Let us rise up against our dictatorship. And so we're going to go on ahead and move over to Donny Charles from Sweden. Comrade Donny Charles, refugees continue to come into Uganda, though Ugandans in Uganda are starving, especially now during the COVID-19 lockdown. Do you think Uganda will maintain the refugee safe haven status after Museveni is out of power?
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Patricia. First and foremost, we as People Power, our People Power movement believes in rule of law and respecting the human rights. Remember, Uganda subscribes to the UN Convention on the Refugees. For that matter, actually, we shall not just maintain the safety. I know very well that actually under Museveni's rule, the rights of the refugees in Uganda have been violated. Actually, for me, it is really absurd to see that Museveni doesn't even care about the refugees, yet himself is also a refugee. But in case People Power takes over, we are thinking of first to restore the sanity in most of the institutions. But since you have asked me about the refugee part, we need to restore that department of the refugees, because we know very well that it's too much corruption into it. Remember, we had it was in 2017 when we had the Solidarity Summit on refugees in Uganda. We remember very well the US donated about 10 million US dollars. Germany and Britain, they contributed over 100 million US dollars. But just a few months later, they discovered that that money was withdrawn from the accounts, and they couldn't tell where that money had gone. So you find that that money that would help the refugees, at least give them the allowances, try to improve their standard of living, try to buy some clothing for them, it is swindled by those few people in power. Just a second, I was just interrupted by a neighbor was knocking at my door for help. He's very sick, actually. Sorry, but let me continue. I was telling, like, you find that this money that is allocated to help the refugees, that is supposed to, they are supposed to get it as allowances and also live in a better life. You find that that money is not given to them. They end up also going to the slums, also becoming criminals in the country. They also end up also starting up small businesses and try to share the little resources already the Ugandans have with them. So in case we come to power, we shall have first an independent and effective investigation committee that will always come over and punish these criminals. Secondly, we need, when we take over the power, or after Museveni, we need to protect the rights of refugees. Remember, being a refugee, you are moving from your country to another country that you are not even born. No, actually, no one would love to leave the country. We have a saying, East, West, home is the best, but you are leaving your country. Go and move and stay in another country. But you say that in Uganda, the refugees are not protected. We have seen some of them repatriated. We have seen under the Kayihura's rule, when he was the IGP, taking back the refugees to Rwanda. And when they reach there, they get persecuted. Refugees need to be protected. Their identities, actually, they don't have even to be disclosed to that country where they are running from, because they are running to look for safety. Then we also have to revise the immigration law about the refugees we have in Uganda. We have an immigration law that doesn't protect the nationals of Uganda and also the refugees. We have seen where President himself, because he's getting a lot of money from the donors, grabbing the land from the people, from the Ugandans, to allocate the refugees. But when we revise this, we have a immigration law that is revised, that really states well who can own land, and like also protect the owners. Let's say, let me give you an example. Then President Museveni or any other person that is in power then cannot just grab land of the nation, because he wants to put the refugees. Also, we need to control the borders, because we have also come to a note that, for example, now how Museveni is taking the advantages of those people who are in the countries with wars and who are suffering, is taking an advantage of them to bring them into the country to vote. They are giving them IDs and they vote, even before they qualify for voting, even before they become Ugandan citizens. So in case we really revise our immigration law, we can have who should vote. If you are a refugee, have you applied for asylum and being given the asylum and then become a refugee to become a Ugandan citizen for you to vote? Not just anyone who comes in. Like, for example, now he's taking the advantage of taking in people from Congo and Rwanda to come in, because he's targeting 2021. We know very well that many Ugandans who have been denied a right to have an ID, but there are so many foreigners that I can even testify that have IDs of Uganda when the nationals cannot even have them. So in case we have that law revised, the immigration law, we shall, for us, people power, when we take over, we shall make sure that at least also the rights of the nations are also protected. Then another thing about the refugees that we really need actually to make better is the bureaucracy in processing their residence permits. Remember, some of these refugees, after some time, they are reallocated to other developed countries to settle there. But you find that there are so many refugees who have stayed in Uganda for over even 20 years when they don't know their status, whether they should stay, whether they are going to stay in Uganda or anytime they can be deported. They don't know about their status. So in case we take power, we as people power, we think of revising all this rotten system of Museveni, and at least we streamline it in a very better way. Thank you so much, Madam Patricia.
Thank you very much, Comrade. Thank you. And so we are going to go ahead and move on to
Patricia, can I make a call?
In 1 minute, please.
Yes. Yeah, I call upon all the refugees fraudulently registered to be voters come 2021. Mweberere mu. You live in a sorry state. The conditions are so poor. Also try to revive your lives in your refugee camps. Unite with the people of Uganda because they welcomed you. Despite the fact that you are in camps, but you are at home. just join the people of Uganda to liberate their country, to take back their country. Those who are fraudulently registered, you should join Ugandans to kick the dictator out of Uganda. After all, to some of you, he's the reason as to why you are leaving your countries, like refugees from Somalia, refugees from Congo, refugees from Burundi, Rwanda. He's the reason as to why you left your countries. So I just call upon you to join the people of Uganda who welcomed you to their country to better it. We need to better our country. We need to uproot the dictator from power. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Comrade Barbara. Comrade Mosh, following what Comrade Barbara has just said, in your opinion, is Museveni the reason for the insecurity in Somalia, Congo?
I would entirely agree, but at the same time, partly disagree, because some of the conflicts in those countries have been in existence before Museveni came to power. But maybe the statement would be, is Museveni responsible for them being aggravated, like for them to be much more than what they were before? And partly, or entirely, actually, I would agree. Case by case study, let us look at Somalia. The US was there first, trying to kick out an Islamist government. And when the US failed in '94, chaos came in, a civil war basically. And a few years ago, I think less than 10 years, Ethiopia withdrew from Somalia. And when Ethiopia withdrew, Al-Shabaab almost ran over the government. And that is when Museveni goes in like this knight in shining armor to save the Somalis. First of all, it's not Uganda in Somalia, it is Museveni in Somalia, because he never sought the permission of our August House to let him deploy in Somalia. It was entirely his personal mission. So he goes in, takes deploys over 6,000 Ugandans who are there, where we have lost close to 1,000 Ugandans down there. But we know what he's getting. In one of the sessions I was doing, I was talking about Uganda's intervention in Somalia, and we discovered that Ugandan troops bribe to go to Somalia because the pay is huge. And we discovered that the US pays close to $2,000 per soldier down there, and a soldier gets just $1,000 of the $2,000. So that is already 50% taken. Where does it go? I don't know. And of the $1,000 that come to the Ugandan soldier, $700 US go to his personal account, and the 300 still gets eaten somehow. Therefore, we are not in Somalia basically to promote peace in Somalia, no way. Because I don't think by killing Somalis, we are promoting peace. We are rather creating more anguish and more war, because you've had reports, Ugandan soldiers selling ammunition and guns to Somalis. There's been a probe into the Ugandan troops in Somalia, where their food rations, their blankets, their tents, their equipment generally is being sold by the commanders. You find that it is basically more or less like a business deal. And before you know it, the Somalis are like flooding in here, just like before. They are flooding in Kenya, and they're planning vengeance, because it is Ugandan troops that went in to kill their brothers, and it is we innocent Ugandans that are always on high risk and always like on tenterhooks, not knowing which place is going to be hit next. But that aside, if genuinely Museveni wasn't responsible for the trouble in Somalia, I think Pan-Africanism is a notion which we can't, as people power, we can't disagree with, because if you've been a follower of President Kyagulanyi, you've seen him trying to cross boundaries. When you go to the Secretariat, the kind of photos or the murals you can see on our wall, you see Fela Kuti, a Nigerian, you see Bob Marley, someone from Jamaica. You see Nelson Mandela, Makeba, Maya Angelou, those are the people that are, okay, we're talking about Africanism, and Somalia is part of Africa. And people power in one of our first 5 fifth points, we are talking about democracy, rule of law, and human rights. And remember, Martin Luther King is one of our greatest inspirations. He said something that an injustice here, let's say in Uganda, an injustice actually in Somalia is injustice here in Uganda. Because before you know it, extremism and things that cause problems in Somalia shall be here in Uganda. And if you don't go into Somalia to help, maybe Ugandans we shall be the next victims and no one will come here to help us. But the question maybe should be, how do you go in to help? Do you go in with the barrel of the gun? Do you go in diplomacy? What is the way forward? And as people power, I think you can credit our principal head. There is a comrade here who was talking about building bridges with these other political players in Uganda. You've seen how best he uses diplomacy. And I think diplomacy is the way to go. The gun can no longer solve problems because, I mean, look, ever since the gun was invented, World War I claimed millions. World War II claimed millions. To date, thousands and millions are still dying because of the gun, which means diplomacy is the way to go. So, looking at the refugees and looking at us as people, how would we come in to solve the issues that are causing the refugees, and that is war in the Congo, war in South Sudan. I'll come to a conclusion that Museveni profits politically from this. Was put aside the finances. First of all, the crisis in the region has made him indispensable. He has made himself like the person who is holding this entire region together. That the moment he's plugged out, the entire region falls apart. Look at the crisis between Salva Kiir and Riek Machar. We know the two are enemies of each other, but Museveni goes in like a big brother, talks to them, though we know the party he supports. He supports Salva Kiir directly. He goes in, tries to play good brother, and before you know it, he calls them here in Uganda, trying to smooth talk them. But the fighting isn't going, and Uganda continues to deploy. And the US, actually, that's one of the reasons why the foreign powers are not helping us as Ugandans to overthrow this guy. Because them also have their foreign policy positions and interests, which Museveni is serving. Because the Americans can no longer deploy directly in Somalia. They can deploy directly in South Sudan or the Congo. And here is a guy, Museveni, who doesn't fear war, who doesn't fear sacrificing Ugandans. He's directly deploying in there. Therefore, as people power will come in to take over, let us get to know that we have an international crisis we got to handle. And we thank the policy team that came up with the Fist Five, and the number one point being democracy, rule of law, and human rights. Because that entails our foreign policy, where we want to see democracy thriving in South Sudan. We want to see democracy thriving in the Congo, but not just going in with our guns, shooting them and ordering them how things are supposed to be. Because if we continue like that, trust me, even our great-grandchildren shall inherit this crisis. And we need solutions that are more people-centered. If we're talking about people power in Uganda, whereby power belonging to the people, why doesn't power belong to Somalis to choose who they want to see in Somalia? Why can't the same power be applied in South Sudan? Because I don't want to think that South Sudanese have no solution to the issues that are affecting them. Therefore, as people power, let us just prepare ourselves policy-wise, physically, and also mentally to know that we are going in with a different approach that is going to bring an end to these regional conflicts. Bullying and shooting isn't going to be the way to go or the way to progress as a region or as an entire African race. We'd rather use our brains, because trust me, where we have good ideas and when we are ready to implement those good ideas, we're going to have a better Africa that everyone shall be proud of, instead of just shooting ourselves. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mosh. That was very enlightening. Comrade Mosh, Western Uganda, who joined us today from the Kyoto program. And now I would like to wrap this up. And so we need as many women to join this movement as possible. So, Babi Mukasa, in one sentence, call out to the women to join the movement.
Thank you, Comrade Patricia. It's like there's nothing, there's no difference between what a woman can do in the struggle and what a man can do, because blood, we are all humans. It's just like you have to conquer your fear and join the struggle. The more women take on roles and push the struggle, because when they kill our kids, it's like Rita has a mother, Dan Cheyune has a mother. All our fallen soldiers, all comrades,
yes,
have mothers, have parents, past or still alive. So it's our role as women, God-given, to protect and to take care of our children. So if we can, and yes we can, let's join the struggle to liberate our country. Let's join the struggle to liberate our country. Just conquer the fear and dive in.
Thank you very much, Barbara. So, women, there you have it. We need more women to join the movement, to join the People Power movement. And again, People Power is not a political party, and we have people from GMA, ANT, DP, CP, FDC. This is a movement for everyone, irrespective of party, irrespective of tribe. Get on board. And so today has been Red Friday. Red Friday is the day.
Add something on the women, please, Madam Patricia.
Yes, that's only 1 minute because we're completely out of time.
Okay, thank you so much. What I would like Ugandans, especially the women, to understand that nowadays we say how Uganda is, how we are very, very poor, and people who are so more vulnerable into this, they are women. There are women who are abused. Men run away nowadays. They fear the responsibilities and they leave them with the children. And it is women who are really suffering this. We have seen it in southern, in the north of Sudan. The Sudan, the one of Omar Bashir, it was a girl who led the revolution, and indeed they succeeded. So women should know that it is them who are most vulnerable, and they suffer a lot when this situation escalates. So they should come out, fight for their rights, and also see that we overcome this dictatorship. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So for those listening in, don't forget to wear your red on Fridays. By wearing red on Fridays, we're showing the dictator that we have the numbers on our side to rid of them. And then with that, forget.
Madam Patricia, before we wrap up, just in 10 seconds.
All right.
I would like to highlight the plight of Brother Simon Sulga. He's a comrade in the struggle. He's part of the Choto and just the entire movement. He's been in prison for 3 weeks. He hasn't appeared before a judge with 13 other comrades, most of them women. Some were lactating, others were just, those vulnerable ladies. They have been in prison in Kasangati for 3 weeks now. Let us continue pushing for his freedom, because an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. Thank you.
Thanks again. So for those that are tuning in with us today, you can donate to the People Power Movement at www.peoplepower.org.ug. Let us continue to move forward. Thank you for joining us, and Mwelaba.
Oh, Lutalo. People power.
Our power.
Our power.
People power.
No scientific election.
No
Bosco
scientific
must